Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video I'm going to talk about, it's the third one I'm doing on this channel in a row, about invalidation. When somebody who's, say, rather narcissistic, or any cluster be like, besides narcissistic, there's histrionic, antisocial, and borderline. Now those are the personality disorders. I'm not talking about the disorders, I'm talking about just the behaviors. In this video, I'm not diagnosing anybody. Read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. And in this, I've been talking about, the ways that these type of people will invalidate you. Okay, and like in this one is when they invalidate your experiences. They invalidate your accomplishments. Okay, and while doing so, they will play the victim. They will play like somebody has done them wrong. Okay, somehow. And I know I've told this story before on my original channel for this topic. This one I usually use more for like vlogs, not vlogs, but topic and some little mixed with vlogs, personal experiences. And this one is his personal experience. And it was years and years ago, but we had this really terrible boss. Okay, it was at work, and we had a really terrible boss. He was one of those sarge in charge types, and I didn't sign up for the military. I wasn't in the military. Chain of command and all this kind of stuff. And he would do people wrong, and they would play the system. And when the person quit or got fired, people were suing, going up against them for discrimination and harassment but anyway, there was this one woman. She was a little bit, I think about 2 or 3 years, well, I think she was 3 years younger than I, and she was married, and her husband was having a hard time finding a job, and he had to move up north, and we were in Texas, and she was going through a really rough time, but she was when I first met her, I called her Tea Party Lady. And at the time I was meaning that she was a child playing Tea Party. She was the hostess. And around that time was when they started talking about the Tea Party. Okay, political Tea Party. After that, I think. I mean, around that time. But anyway, no, I meant that she was that type too. Okay, we'll get to it. She was. And she always her thoughts were that she deferred to any man. Okay, but at the same time, you had to wonder about it. She may talk the talk, but did she walk the walk? And I'm not one to defer to anybody. Okay, why would I? Seriously. I mean, you know what I'm saying. There is a situation, of course you do, like police officers, or judges, or something like that. But I'm talking about just people. Okay, just people. They're not in any capacity that they could be over you. But the boss. Now, the boss was, at the same time, the boss was a royal jerk. And he drove people crazy. One guy it wasn't a lot of employees. We were in like Cubeville. And one guy, he hit the wall with his fist, and he was so angry quite often. And this woman, she was angry too, and she would bang her head on the table, on her desk, and she would cry sometimes. And I finally winded up scaring the crap out of them. I reported them. I kept reporting them. I did not stop from reporting them, and they got scared. They were scared of me. Seriously. That was bull what they were doing. Oh my goodness. And it wasn't just the boss. It was more. So anyway, it was really tough. And I corrected the boss one time. He was trying to do the statistics. I said, no, that's not how statistics work. You're not saying that crap to me. Seriously. He was trying to do something like, they would find some mistakes in your work, and they might go out and find 3 or 4. And they said they found, enough to make 10, whatever they chose. They found enough to make 10, And they would say, well, you missed these 3, so that's 70, you only got 70% right. I said, that's not how it works, dude. You might fool other people, but no. And I let them know. They were scared of me. They really were. She calls everybody. She got everybody on us, watching us. But they turned out really bad. After I finally said, I'm sitting here watching them still do the same crap to everybody else. They're scared of me. They're not going to touch. They're not going to say anything to me. But they're doing it to everybody else. I just couldn't work in that kind of environment. And I said, adios. But anyway. Now, and one of the things that I learned there, in my opinion, and it's my opinion, I could be wrong, read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. But one of my views is a boss who, sorry, I'm losing my voice, a boss who's going to set people up, like do a quota system. And this was, we were medical billing, okay, in medical billing. And I usually, because I was really good at that job, seriously, I'm not bragging, I'm just stating fact, I got bigger accounts, okay? And this boss, Sarge in charge, he set up this quota thing, and he had a bulletin board, those old fashioned ones, and each time, however often, I don't even remember, but he would put up there, maybe it was every week, who was number 1 collector, who was number 2, who was number 3, 4, like that. There weren't that many people, maybe. It just depends. Sometimes there's, when they had a big account, there were. And anyway, I was always number 1 because I got the bigger accounts. You see? Of course I'm going to be number 1. And then there was this guy, I don't know why, the guy I told you that would hit his head, hand on his fist on the wall, he was number 2. Okay. Now, quite often we only had three of us that were full-time, but sometimes more, maybe up to 20 or so, just depends. So the Tea Party lady was usually number 3. Okay, so we knew this. But what she would do, and I'm serious, I thought the woman was delusional, but I have more reasons to think that she was delusional than that. And those were, during our lunch, things she would say about her life and what's going on. But anyway, she would look at that board and see that I was number 1, he was number 2, she was number 3. Now, he and she sometimes flipped depending on what was going on. Now, that was wrong in the first place because the accounts that we worked on weren't the same. Okay? Some were bigger accounts, some were this, whatever. Well, anyway, so she would see herself as, she would be number 3, but she wouldn't see herself as number 3. She would see herself as number 1. Okay, and he and I, we would go up there, when the boss would put it up, we'd go up there and we'd look at it. And, like if there were more employees and stuff, to see how we'd done, not what number, but how we'd done, and overall. But the Tea Party lady, she'd come up there and she'd say, that she was number 1, and he and I would look at one another. The first time she did, just looked at one another like, whoa. And that was the real stressful time. But basically, that would be somebody who's, trying to, that is, maybe not even trying, but as an outcome or, just collateral damage, or not even that, but, just because she wanted to see that she was number 1, and so she refused to see that she was actually number 3 on there, and it was just too much on her psyche, all the stress and pressure that was going on in that job all around, and so she couldn't see it, literally, it seemed like, and he and I would look at one another like, oh my goodness, what's happened to her? Okay. But basically, if anybody else was there, that could see it and go up and look, like I said, sometimes we had many more, trying to think how many, maybe up to 25 or so employees, other than us, with us included. And she would be humiliating herself because they would go and they'd see and they'd, whoa, no, she's not number one. You know, so now I think hers may have been more out of a, you know, that the job was so stressful, but it might not be. It could be something like that. Could be that the person really, you know, I think her behaviors were quite histrionic too. And she even said, she would say this and laugh and laugh. One time she stood up and she raised her, you know, index finger. And then she took her index finger of her other hand and she did a circle around that the other index finger. You know, circle around, you know, round and round. And she said, this is what my friends say about me. Here's me, and she showed that one index finger, and then she made the circle, and here's the rest of you, rest of everybody. In other words, she was the center of everything, like center of attention. And yeah, she was a top tea party lady. Seriously, I mean, that came to my mind, I think it was the first day I met her, okay, for that job. She had just started working there like a week or two before. So, but she knew it. She knew that she was this narcissistic, and rather histrionic, typical what I've seen in my life, narcissistic, histrionic blend of behaviors in people. And she knew it. And she didn't deny it. And some people think that narcissistic people don't know it. Yeah, some of them do. I would say most of them do. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have any statistics on it. Now, again, this type, you know, they want to be that center of attention, and they want that attention. Like, in my experience, the histrionic behaviors, the ones histrionic, they don't care if it's negative attention or positive attention. Like her going up there and saying she's number one when she's number three. They don't care if people, you know, that type might not care. It's not a one-size-fits-all, by the way. They don't all do the same. But they might not care. You know, if people look at them like, that says 3, not 1. You know, they're getting attention no matter what. And then some of them would then say, oh, well, you know, make up some excuse why the other two were number 1 and 2, which there was an excuse. You know, there was a reason. But she and number 2, the one that was number 2, would, like I said, the guy, sometimes she would be number 2 and he would be number 3. It just depended on the accounts, you know. And I was, like I said, I was better at it, so they gave me the bigger accounts, and so of course I was number 1. It was wrong the way the boss was doing this, incorrect. But anyway, like I was saying, you know, they could even go as far as to say you cheated, you know, or something that, but in a way they're still invalidating your, like, you know, you won. They will invalidate that you were number 1, and you know, like if some boss gave some, and some do, they I think did before and they stopped doing it. They're paid the exact same as they had like 10 years before for hourly. They used to give commission or something like that. Not commission, but whatever it was. But they stopped doing that. Now, places like that, somebody, you know, see, anyway, you know, people saying that you cheated somehow, you did something sneaky, whatever. No. I'm looking at my notes here. But they were the types that wanted to win everything. In any situation, even if they didn't, like her, she did not win it, but she would say she won it. So, and then I wrote, throws temper tantrums. Yeah, oh man. I have seen many people in my life, grown adults, supposedly, age-wise, yes, but other than that, not really. But really, when they wouldn't get their way with something, oh man, she would too. Not the same exact way, but some of them, you know, throw a temper tantrum, like as if they're an insolent child, you know, just a big old temper tantrum. You're waiting for them to lay on the ground and stomp their feet. So, you know. But anyway. Let's see, that's pretty much all I wrote, and then they humiliate themselves. So, but yeah, I can remember many times, if something really good, not too many on this one, but enough. Like something good happened to you, like I got a new car. Well, Adam got a new SUV a few years ago, and there were family on Facebook. Okay, my family on Facebook, and I mentioned that he got a new SUV, and one of them popped up that she did too. And then the same thing happened on YouTube also, is that someone said that she was looking for a new SUV van or minivan or whatever, but she would never, new SUV, she would never get the kind that he got. He got his new, okay? She would never get that kind. What she was going to get was a used one of this other type. Right when, it's like they don't want you to shine. You will not shine for anything. And this, you might not be bragging, you're just saying, you're happy. People get happy, hey, we got a new SUV. And, like mine, I got a new SUV last year in May. Because of the pandemic, it has, let's see, 3,028 miles. Really. Last year in May, and this is November. Okay, really. With the pandemic, I don't go that many places. But it was, it was nice. I got a new one, something for me. And it's got all kinds of interesting little things it does, different than norm. Different than I've ever had in all these years. And so you mention it, but people like that, some of the people, not all, they don't want you to have any, center of attention. They don't want you to be congratulated or say, oh, that's nice, No. And you're not even looking for that. You're just mentioning it because you're happy or you're excited or you like to learn something new and what your, SUV does or whatever. Like mine, it auto corrects. It corrects. Like if it thinks it's going around, if you're going around a curve and you're not center, it centers. Okay? Hell, it was freaky the first time that it happened. And the first time that it happened, I just didn't mention this on a video for another channel, but the first time that it happened, I was going around what had previously been called Dead Man's Curve. And it auto-corrected me. Put it together. It auto-corrected me. I still said that. But going around Dead Man's Curve, and my SUV took over. Really. Kind of spooky. But anyway, so learning something, how interesting that was to me. After all these years I've been driving, that it did that. And, but somebody like that, you tell the story, and they have one better. They have a better story. They want to make sure they tell it right there, what happened to them. They don't want you to be validated in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So they want to be that center of attention. So some of them aren't trying to make sure you're not validated. They just wanted to be validated more. Okay, they wanted people to be looking at them, not you. So the outcome is that your experience, your whatever is practically invalidated by them and others. It could be. You see what I'm saying? Also, to give an example that doesn't involve anything new, the SUV I had before I got this one last May of last year, that SUV had 400,000 miles on it. 400,000. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. 400,000. And that's practically unheard of by many people. And it wasn't, we bought it new years ago, but it wasn't new by then. So, now just saying something like that, I thought it was really interesting that his, the mechanic said if it gets to 500,000 miles, then he said something after that. I don't remember what it was. He'd do something. But it was something that people, normal people, close to normal people, even would, say, hey, that's cool. That's interesting. I never heard of that before. Whatever. But people, I have known people like this, will take away from that too. Bragging about how many miles your SUV has been. You've taken in your SUV. That to them, nope, that's you getting attention, and they don't want you to have that attention. They don't want anything that validates you. It's got to be about them. Not everybody does all this, like I said. But anyway, I think that's enough of the stories. This is my third one, and on invalidation. There's so many ways that people can invalidate somebody. Really, a lot of different ways. And it's just sad that people do that. And like I said, some of them, they might not even be thinking in terms of that they're going to do that to you. It's just that they do that to get the attention. It's automatic with them. They have to have the attention on them. So they somehow, change it to where it's their experience is, they're going to put that out there. So people will turn back around and look at them. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, enough on this video for now. Talk to you all in another video.